этот чистый сигнал я радикально обработаю дисторшеном, что само по себе уже внесение искажений. Этого мы и добивались, но прислушайтесь, что будет дальше. Вы могли услышать характерное чириканье. Это алиасинг, условие, с которым мы с вами работаем в цифровой среде и с которым нам приходится мириться уже 30 лет. В аналоге такого рода артефактов не было. Да, в аналоге есть шум, близкий к белому шуму и шум сети. У аналога свои особенности. И все это артефакты, потому что этот звук не был частью моей задумки. Насколько это страшно? Чем сложнее и громче сигнал, чем больше в звуке дисторшена, чем хуже качество обработки, чем экстремальнее настройки, тем страшнее. Разумеется, все давно кумекают, как бы от этого условия избавиться. И повышение частоты дискретизации не решает проблему. Как слышите, все равно мы продолжаем слышать чириканье. Почему так? Задайте этот вопрос производителям плагинов, которые их создавали. В этом плане оверсэмплинг работает куда лучше. Так мы можем получить нужную сатурацию и компрессию в цифровом мире без цифрового призвука.
Right, so let's test this via the hardware, right? So this is the Access Analog Pultec. So as you can see, no matter what I do here, right, I cannot get aliasing, and it is making higher order harmonics. Look, it's making a higher order harmonic at 20 kilohertz. I'll increase the input, so again, I'm making those harmonics stronger, so I'm making stronger, higher order harmonics, and still no aliasing. And as I showed earlier in Plugin Doctor with the Puigtec, the harder I drove the input, the more saturation was made, the more aliasing that was created. But as you can see here, I can drive the input, and I'm not getting any aliasing. Now, something you do need to know, this is very important, is that in Access Analog, you can get some aliasing in Access Analog. Now, the reason this is, that the only way that you can get aliasing in this is to completely abuse and distort and clip the plugin and software itself. Now, obviously, the hardware is being streamed online, okay? So it's analog being processed through digital, streamed back to me, okay? So at first I thought it was like clipping the converters, which was creating distortion, which was then creating aliasing. But speaking to other people, I think I could fairly say that it's to do with the streaming software because that's been processed in the digital. So if you are really abusing the signal and you are distorting that signal being streamed, then it's going to create a lot of higher order harmonics, which is then going to cause aliasing, as you can see here. So here is the Pultec, the legacy Pultec, the UAD, and as you can see, there is no harmonics whatsoever. So it can't sound like a Pultec. It can't, because I've not even bothered to ask them that's like the model of the harmonics. Even what annoys me, the Pro Legacy, is that they call it the Pro Legacy, it's again, no harmonics whatsoever. There is no harmonics, no aliasing, no harmonics, just a single tone, okay? So there you go. That's what it should look like. Harmonics. No harmonics whatsoever. Absolutely clean. This is an easy way of kind of hearing for yourself what the aliasing is doing. Okay. So first off, let's hear it at 20. Okay. That's your tone. Okay. That's your tone. Sounds like a 10K tone. Let's move up to 30. So there you go. Not too bad. Hear that tone? Can you hear it? It's kind of low. It's, the note's gone higher. Sounds like a siren a little bit. Hear it? That kind of low, kind of ringing. It's getting worse. It's getting worse, isn't it? And then look at that. Sounds like a fucking ambulance. It sounds awful. Absolutely awful, doesn't it? Look, clean 10K tone. Clean as a whistle. Very clean. That's been added to the signal. Right, so as you can hear, that's been added to the signal. Okay, you get a 10K signal, and all that aliasing, all of those low harmonics, those random, unmusical harmonics are being brought into the audible frequency spectrum, and that is why the 10K tone, which is very, very high, is being absolutely masked by all these lower frequencies, which is why the test tone becomes lower. You can hear it as lower, and these awful, god-awful, horrible, unmusical sounding tones are just completely overtaking that 10K tone, and that is what is going to happen. That's what's going to happen to your source. That's just the test tone at 10K. Think about that being like drenched all over a track, okay? So that is how you can hear aliasing. So it stays truer to the tone, and all you're hearing is the harmonics, the overtones of the 10K signal. Right, so let's hear how that sounds. So as you can hear, the more you oversample, the truer to the tone it stays, okay? All you're getting is pure harmonics, no aliasing whatsoever, and that is how it should be done. That is oversampling used to its best effect. Yes, it's a lot of CPU, but again, just listen like 2, 3, 4 times if you need to, just so you can hear the negative impact and the unmusical effect that aliasing has on that 10k tone, and just think about what that's adding to an entire source, an entire mix, an instrument that has such a wide range of frequencies. Just think about what that would do. You need to know this, it's very, very important. Now, Waves audio plugins, especially the older ones, are only supported up to 96 kilohertz. Now, if you work at 44.1 or 48 kilohertz, like me, 48k, you can only oversample Waves plugins by times 2. Because again, 48 times 2 give you 96 kilohertz, okay? Now, this is very important because if you go to oversample a Waves plugin, say that you've got a session at 96 kilohertz and you then go to oversample that Waves plugin past 96 kilohertz, right? You do times 2, times 4, whatever. What's going to happen is it's not supported. All it's going to do is it's actually going to multiply the frequencies. So, for example, a 2.5k boost would be a 5k boost, and then at times 4, a 2.5k boost would be a 10k boost, right? It's just not supported. There are some Waves audio plugins that are supported. Some of the Abbey Road stuff and a lot of the newer plugins are supported at like 180 odd k. I can't remember what it is. So you can do times 4 on a 48k session. You can do times 2 on a 96 kilohertz session. Very, very, very important. In DDF Meta plugin, what I've done is I've oversampled it times 2. I'm at 48 kilohertz. Okay, so it's dead simple in DDMF, right? All you do is you just load it in. There's you've got real time and you've got offline. Okay, so what you can do is to save kind of on CPU. Say for example you're a plugin that was supported like crazy sample rates. Okay, what you can do is you can oversample it, and instead of wasting your CPU, you could, when you render it, it'll render the oversampling on. Okay, but you can use the real time oversampling, which is kind of processing it there and then. So at 48k, you can only oversample it by times 2 because that would be 96 kilohertz. So basically, what you're doing is you're reducing the aliasing at 48k by oversampling the plugin at 96k. So basically, you have less of those unnatural harmonics finding their way back into the frequency spectrum, which can then again they're unmusical, not related to the fundamental, so they could then make the sound muddy and sometimes harsh. Okay, for me, that's a little bit of a game changer. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the stuff that I dislike about Waves plugins has been fixed a little bit. I'm going to say that the low end's a little bit better and it's a little bit cleaner. I kind of see that kind of, especially here in the strums of the acoustic guitar, it sounds a little bit more dynamic, and I kind of feel like that muddiness. It's more muddiness that I hear on a lot of Waves plugins, and oversampling it, especially if it's at 96k, I just genuinely feel that it's kind of taking all that muddiness out, and it's a little bit harsh, there's a little bit less noise to me, and it just sounds more pleasant and a little bit clearer. Right, so let's have a look into API this time, okay? So this is the API 5500. Now, as you'll notice, I have raised the output a little bit, just so I'm getting a little bit of a stronger signal in here, and again, just so you can kind of see the harmonics a little bit better in terms of kind of like the harmonics that this thing can generate, right? So that's the harmonics there, okay? There you go, you've got a bit of noise in there as well, that's what happens, okay? So let's compare that to the Lindo 50 channel, right? Which, again, I featured in the EQ video as well. So it's making harmonics, okay? It's not the same harmonics, as we can see. You can switch it off completely, okay? So these two units would sound different, okay? There is harmonics there, but in terms of the harmonic response, in terms of the order of harmonics that are made, it's a different order of harmonics. So these two units would sound different. Now let's see how our old friend Waves fares. Okay, so this is the 550B from Waves. It is a standard used by many people. So off the bat, there's no harmonics. However, if we raise the output a little bit, look at that. We're getting some harmonics in there. Very, very low, but still, so we're having one order of harmonic, right? That's it, right? A first order harmonic. That's all we're having there. It's got the noise in there, but we've got one order of harmonic. That is it. One order at 2K. Look at the difference between the hardware. Right? Look at the difference. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 orders of harmonics. One order of harmonics in the 550B. It's just nonsense. It's nothing like a 550B at all. And in the fact that you have to like absolutely crank your output to get that and bring in more audible noise, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just pretty redundant, if I'm being honest with me. I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. In the end, right, is like one guitar, right, that's aliasing using a Waves plugin at 44.1 or whatever it is, going to make a difference in the entire mix? Probably not. However, what I may argue is that tons and tons of instances of plugins at say 48 or 44.1 that alias a lot may have more of an effect, and that effect will cumulatively, that effect will basically build up, and you will hear it. Something important to know, especially if you're dealing with saturation in the box.